I spent literally the first 10 minutes of today's stream just complaining. Nothing but complaining. Using my hands to complain, use my fingers to complain, complain. I did nothing but complain. And then I got to work. Work today was starting on the second part of the sheathing for the garage, and I actually ended up getting it all done. Had a little bit of help from Santa come along at some point. I had to struggle getting the first couple of pieces of sheathing on the outside of the wall because everything had to be level and the garage was not built level and I was overhanging by 3 inches and excuses and reasons, and I also had to do some shoveling and I had to do some other stuff. A lot of fuss this time. I'll learn better for next time to try to keep things on a more even standard build than, just what I think is best, because a lot of the time that I spent fussing on things was because it was either a little bit off of 16 on center, or it was a little bit longer in the wall, or I framed the walls a little bit wrong, or just, one thing after another made stuff awkward. I eventually got to get full sheets on, but it took a while to get there, and I would like the next garage build I do to be easier.
This is what I would like to do with my life for a little while. I wonder why that one section looks a little crooked. Yeah. Santa, I know him. Hey, Santa. You've been gifted a bottle of water by Gypsy. Whenever you want it.
Much appreciated.
Oh, don't use that word.
Appreciated?
Yeah. So there's a thing that happens on Twitch and YouTube that anytime anyone sends any sort of support,
Yeah.
the default response is, oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
So I have to score.
No, so I'm saying put a little bit more effort than using the A word. Oh, you brought a hammer, but not a tape measure. This guy. Why is it upside down? Hey. Oh, apparently these are where you staple.
Is that what those are?
That's what someone in chat says. I have the best aim. Just the greatest aim.
And then that's kind of it. My reliance on my POV cam, this GoPro here, ended up with me not really taking care of where this camera was hanging out, and definitely not taking care of making sure I had something from that camera recorded for all of the garage build videos, which meant that in the end I basically don't have any more decent footage that's not like POV stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, the POV is great for the Twitch streams and the interactive and the follow along and the keep me busy and working and not tied down and not like hopping back to readjust the camera every 5 minutes. But I got to start making more time to be readjusting that camera. A big part of why I gave up on fussing this camera was because I had the GoPro, but also because of the time issue. Like, it does take a chunk of time every time I move around a different spot, like I was doing in building the garage. You know, that's a 22 by 24 or 24 by 22, depending on how pedantic you want to get about measurements. It takes time to set that thing up and move it and move it and move it and move it, especially when it's all cabled together and tethered and live streaming as well. So the time that it took to deal with this camera, I didn't feel like I had, because I knew that building the garage from scratch, which was a rather unexpected development, was going to take a long time. And in the end, it took start to finish probably like 2.5 months. And in my own defense, a lot of that time was project mismanagement on my part. I didn't order all the material. The siding didn't come in until after Christmas, so there was a bunch of time that I had to, you know, basically come inside and putter around in the basement. As far as puttering around in the basement goes, it is, maybe half framed, almost half framed. I've got all the way from that DVD bookshelf, laundry room, to this bedroom over here, basically totally framed. I had to partially frame this part here because I needed the plumbing to work for said laundry. This is actually the drain that comes along through the wall, ends up just over tying in there. And I didn't have these windows yet because Geldwin wanted to switch over their default stock at Home Depot. So I had to leave this available so that I could enlarge this for egress, because this is bigger than that. I also took some of the time while I was waiting to get the materials to be able to finish the garage to deal with replacing my main drain stack and re-roughing in a basement bathroom over here so that when I start to tear up the upstairs, I have somewhere to poop and shower. And those are two of my top 5 favorite activities to do in life. So I wanted to make sure that was taken care of. I would be very sad to demolish my only bathroom upstairs and not have anything to do for that for quite a while. This is currently a 1-bathroom house. I have already disassembled, demolished, demolitioned, taken apart the upstairs master bathroom, so I only have the 1 bathroom left over that's actually functional. The other there's been 2 other big jobs that I've done down here while kind of in the midterming of the garage project. One of them was starting to replace all of my plumbing and planning in where all the rest of the plumbing is going to go. I also installed a new hot water tank, except it's not a tank. It's an on-demand, and it's not gas, it's electric. So that's really fun. And I built a whole manifold system. Each one of these blue pipes over here goes all the way up to the finished fixture that's already that's still in use, and you can just ignore the red one here that goes down to the hose on the floor that I was using to be able to pour concrete. Why am I pouring concrete? Well, the obvious little bit about the basement bathroom rough-in and all of the drain and all of that concrete, for sure, but I also had to get brand new telepoles. They're so pretty and not brown, and I like them. And boy, were they stressful. I had these really goofy looking pyramid things at the bottom of all of my telepoles. And I had 4 existing telepoles. I've finished replacing 2 of them here. And the other 2 have been removed and new footings poured so that I can finish replacing them as well. Here's some footage of the goofy pyramid bases that were under these telepoles. I don't know why they put them there, but they were there. So I had to cut them out. Aside from having goofy pyramids that would have made my walls coming down this side of the hallway, 16 inches thick, which is just a huge waste of space. I also needed to be able to pour in brand new footings here and here to accommodate some of the structural changes that I wanted to take care of upstairs. Now, if you're wondering why this one is big and this one is big and this one is big and then this one is big, but this one's really small and this one's really small. Well, that's because the original footings underneath the pyramids were totally sufficient to be able to use. And I didn't find that out until after I had already totally cut one out and found that there was concrete down there, and then moved on to cutting out the next two. I kind of did like that half of the basement first and then that half of the basement after, because I only have 4 bottle jacks. Revenge of the bottle jacks. And yeah, don't ask me how nervous I am about still having some supports that I built holding up the building that I'm not just, you know, banking on for my future here, but I'm also living in. We all remember how well that went last time that I held up a building with supports that I built. Yeah, that was fun. It wasn't fun, it was an adventure, and I will always take an adventure. So those ones I cut out first, and when I found out that I had concrete footings underneath them, I drilled down as far as I could with the bits that I had to get a general idea of how deep were those footings. And then I called the engineer and I said, look, I've got footings under here. Do I have to really get in the full 24 by 24 by 10 inches that you called for? And he's like, no, just tell me how much you've got there. 8 inches there plus the slab, you're okay. So same thing with these ones over here, except this time I knew that coming into it. So instead of cutting out the full 24 by 24 that I marked, I was able to just cut around the goofy pyramid here. This one was a brand new footing, so that didn't have anything under it. So I had to get the full 24 by 24 by 10 inches down there. This has been my latest little project. Just finishing this up today. You can tell that the concrete is still quite wet, and that's why I'm taking some time to do a little bit more vlog style video, because yeah, I don't really want to pull cables from over there down across here into my new network station there. That's another thing I've been working on, but it's a fairly small side project. I'm really hoping I can start getting a little bit better balance between how much time am I spending doing renovations and how much time am I spending doing video editing. And even if that's changing the style of videos, okay, but I need to make sure that I've got something that I can use to put up. And POV cam, as much as I absolutely love it for live streaming, it is not really usable for YouTube. Usable as like here I'm on a selfie stick, I can reach out now. I can look how far I can reach out. Look how much of the background. But like when it's stuck on my forehead and I'm like, oh, where's my tool? Oh, there's my tool. Pick up my tool. Hammer, 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 hammer. Like that sort of thing just doesn't work very well for YouTube, at least as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know. If anyone out there absolutely loves time-lapse POV and doesn't get made completely nauseous by it, please feel free to tell me in the comments, because man, I don't know how anyone on Twitch watches, but they do, and I love them for it. I couldn't. I would not be able to watch this. I would be getting like, it gives me a headache when I watch back the POV stuff, and you know, it's just, I need to not say that. I need to not say that at all, because I want people to come to Twitch. It's a great viewing experience on Twitch. You should all come and join my Twitch channel. Oh, let's see, over the next little bit, if I can get this out tonight, and I'm actually hoping that I can, because I'm gonna be just kind of going from the last of the Good Garage footage to today, and just skipping all of that and saying, all right, I need to start paying better attention to this camera over here. Tomorrow, I will be doing the cable pulling, because this concrete down here will be dry enough that if I happen to slide a cable across it, that's not going to be a problem. And then we're going to be looking at Mark Watneying our way through basement egress windows. And all that means is that instead of taking my concrete saw and wet cutting, making a huge mess, and wet cutting and more mess and more wet cutting up, and then going outside to do that from the other side because my concrete blade is only so deep, I'll be coming along with my Bosch Bulldog and hole, lots of little holes all the way along. I call it Mark Watney because that's how he did it in The Martian when he had to cut a hole out of the top of his rover. So I'll be doing that for at least one of them, and depending on how miserable an experience that is, I might be doing that for both of them. That should be coming up in the next couple of days. So come say hi on Twitch if for any reason you have found me through YouTube and not Twitch. Usually it goes the other way around.